I'm Marilyn Carroll, President of the League of Women Voters of Ridgefield, and thank you all for zooming in this morning. For those of you unfamiliar with the Get to Know Your Town meetings, this is our 12th meeting in the past 4 years. Get to Know Your Town meetings are a series of educational programs for Ridgefielders to learn about their community and the services that are offered by our town government and other important organizations in town. And we are especially proud and delighted to feature the Ridgefield Library, who is a frequent partner and co-sponsor for many of the League's events. Today, Ridgefield Library Brenda McKinley and Library Assistant Director Andy Forsyth will tell us about the library's mission and the myriad services, resources, and opportunities that are offered to residents of all ages as the library continues to be an essential partner and the place where people go to discover, question, learn, and connect. Also with us this morning is my co-host, Michelle Booth, the League's activity chair. And Michelle also has worked with Brenda and Andy as a League board member, as well as a library board member, and will help monitor the Q&A section of Zoom, where we will ask you to type in any questions you may have for our experts. Michelle will also wrap up the program if my phone loses service as I head to Fairfield to celebrate my dad's 98th birthday. So I apologize in advance to personally thank Brenda and Andy for what I know will be an excellent presentation and for continuing to do an extraordinary job of supporting, educating, and entertaining the entire community virtually and in person during these very challenging times. We are fortunate indeed to be blessed with such a fantastic organization in our town. Now, before I ask Director McKinley and Assistant Director Forsyth to begin their presentation, I'd just like to mention our next upcoming League event co-sponsored and hosted by the library, which will be on May 27th at 7 p.m. called Voting Rights in America, Ensuring Fair and Full Voting for All, with Myrna Perez, Director of the Voting Rights and Election Program at the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University School of Law. Ms. Perez leads the program research, advocacy, and litigation work nationwide and is an expert on voting rights and election administration. And her work has been featured across the country, including in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and MSNBC. We expect it to be a very informative and important presentation, so go right to the library's event page and calendar, register to receive your Zoom invitation link. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Ms. Brenda McKinley and Andy Forsyth. And again, thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this program. We're honored.
Thank you so much, Marilyn, and thank you all for joining us. I'm going to actually go ahead and paste into the chat the link for that program that Marilyn was just talking about on voting rights. So let me go ahead and I'm going to put that into the chat. So if any of you want to jump in and register for that, you've got that link right there. But I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. If you want to put your Zoom view in, I guess you would put it in speaker view, then the presentation will be large on your screen. And I'm going to get started right away. So let me do that and start the presentation. There we go. Okay, so here we are today, April 20th. It's hard to believe we're already getting towards the latter half of April in 2021. And I want to start by thanking the Ridgefield League of Women Voters. It's just an incredible partnership. We thank them for all that the League does to support civic engagement. Civic engagement is also an important part of public library mission, and it's wonderful to have the League as our partners and years of collaboration that we've had. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in the presentation, but we're grateful for all the collaboration that we do together. And a special thank you to League of Women Voters of Ridgefield board members, President Marilyn Carroll and board member Michelle Booth, who worked with us today to prepare for the presentation and for giving us the opportunity to speak a little bit about the library with all of you. So we're going to go back to the beginning. And the history of the Ridgefield Library is a long one. You know, as many of you know, the library's been part of the Ridgefield landscape for a long time. And it was first established in 1795 with about 150 volumes of books. It was a subscription library, which was very common back in colonial days. By 1871, the organization was called the Ridgefield Library and Historical Association. It was well established. In 1883, it was housed in a building which was supplied by Phineas Lounsbury on Bailey Avenue, and then it moved over to Governor Street. A subscription library had members actually paying dues, and those dues were used to grow the collection and to pay the librarian. There was one. Here we go. That's what I just said that. And then by 1900, the land on the corner of Main Street and Prospect Street was purchased. And in 1903, the Morris Memorial Building, which was designed by Raleigh Gildersleeve, was opened. The building, which you'll see E.W. Morris Memorial over the front doors, our distinctive front doors, was built by James Morris in memory of his wife, Elizabeth. That's who EW is. And he also established an endowment fund, which was put in place, which provided the operating income for the library. I found a couple of pictures which might be familiar to a few of you, because these, when the library celebrated its 100th anniversary, the images were used and they saw them in the Ridgefield Press. So a picture from 1903 of a young boy in front of the beautiful Morris building. And then this one I love because you can see the back of what was behind that Morris building. It's so different today. A postcard from 1903 of the building and the property and the stone wall, just beautiful. So a little bit more history. It wasn't until some 60 years later in 1961 that the town began granting funds for the library's operation. There were a number of additions, but in 1984, a major addition was done, which increased the size from the 7,200 square feet to 24,000 square feet. Those images might be familiar to some of you, remembering the library back in those days. The first public internet computers, 1997. That's, you know, it's hard to imagine when these things came into place, and the wireless network dating back to 2005, 15 years ago, was pretty amazing to think that's when that first went in. Now this is what we're a little bit more used to seeing. And I think that Chris Nolan is on the call. Big shout out to Chris. She was as many of you know, but maybe some on the call don't know, Christina Nolan was the library director from I think around 2000 to 2016, and a huge undertaking was the addition and expansion of the building. After a soft launch period, the library undertook a capital campaign, kicked it off in 2010. Oops, let me go back, I apologize. By 2012, the association had raised about $15 million privately and went to referendum, where the taxpayers did approve $5 million of tax funds to be spent to be added to that for the construction of the new library, which now at 44,000 square feet opened in 2014, a beautiful light-filled building designed to be flexible space to carry the library well into the 21st century and to provide complete accessibility, which was a real challenge in the old building. That was a big part of the mission of the expansion of the library. A little bit about our budget. In the history part, I had mentioned that, you know, we were a subscription library originally, and we remain an association library, which is a private 501c3. Most libraries across the country are municipal town departments. It's not that unusual in our area of the country to find association libraries because of our colonial history. That, you know, they started as associations, and we were chartered, I think, in 1901 as an association officially. However, per the Connecticut general statutes, we do serve as the principal public library for the town of Ridgefield. Our budget, we receive about 70% of our operating budget from the town. For fiscal year 20, we operate on a fiscal year cycle, which is July 1 to June 30. That was just over $2 million. That represents about 1.29% of the municipal budget and about $82 per capita. We annually fundraise the other 30% of our operating budget with many fundraising events and efforts. The biggest two of which are the annual appeal and our Great Expectation Gala, which is coming up May 22nd. Lots of information on our website, which we'll give you the link to. In fiscal year 20, that fundraising goal, just again, and this is just to make our operating budget whole, was over $500,000, just so you kind of have an idea of what that actually means. In addition to that, we also seek grants and restricted gifts. These are really important. These also tribute funds, individuals, local foundations. This helps supplement, especially in our areas of collection and programming. And we rely our wonderful friends of the Ridgefield Library. For those of you who don't know, the Friends of the Ridgefield Library are a separate 501c3 organization whose mission is to support the library. And we're very fortunate in Ridgefield to have an outstanding Friends group with incredibly dedicated volunteers. You can find more information about the Friends also on our website. They're always looking for more members. So the link is right at the top of our website. I am going to now turn it over to Andy for the next slide.
Oh, thank you, Brenda. On March 13th, 2020, what was unthinkable became reality. We closed our beloved building due to the rapidly unfolding COVID-19 pandemic. As public librarians serving our town and the relationships we are privileged to build with our patrons and local organizations, that's what gives meaning to our work. That's why we got into the field of public service. We felt so cut off from our community, but we soon found new ways to connect. We responded to the rapidly increased need for our digital offerings. We saw tremendous response to our new Connect With Us emails, which started out daily and are now multiple times per week. We expanded our Wi-Fi coverage to cover not only the front lawn of the building, but the entire parking lot and grounds. Our staff learned new ways to present programs, how to become a Zoom expert or Schmexpert, YouTube expert. And we were soon able to see all the friendly faces of our patrons, have our book discussions, learn through our lecture presentations, share some laughs on our online Friday night trivia nights, present the story time, science experiments, spy school, craft projects, music and movement programs, and everything else that goes into the variety of ways we serve the community through programming. Through emails of thanks and lots of positive community response, we felt a strengthening of our ties to our community, even under these challenging conditions. We started taking safe steps to get the staff back working in the building safely, and then to welcome the public back to our library. Following local, state, and federal safety guidelines, we began developing a very detailed safe at work plan. Determining how our staff could work without becoming sick or making others sick was the groundwork for being able to do any of our other steps. We started by offering contactless lobby pickups, and you'll see a photo there illustrating someone getting their bag. We designed a method for patrons to schedule pickup times. When their holds would be ready, they could just pop in and grab the bag. Then we added to that. We started determining how we could welcome the public back into the building. With support from our Friends of the Ridgefield Library, we were able to make the necessary building modifications required to get to that next step. And again, the biggest concern was staff safety. How can we have the necessary number of staff for the service provided, but also keep those staff members safe in the work environment? As we know, many businesses still have not brought back their employees fully into the workplace because of safety concerns, things like spacing, taking a mask break, challenges with shared equipment, and much more. Those things needed to be considered in our planning and find solutions. We continue to move forward with our library service, aiming toward fulfilling our logo there that says Safe Steps Forward. That's our approach, taking us steps forward that we know will be safe and successful. There are lessons to carry forward from this time. Most importantly, that these new ways of presenting programs helped us reach members of our community who might not otherwise have been able to come physically into the library and connect in an in-person way. And this is all top of mind as we start planning for future programming efforts. And looking here at some of what happened during those months of operation in a solely virtual realm, you can see statistics of usage during these months and a few of the wonderful comments from our patrons. The statistics tell the story of both people making the pivot to our online offerings and maintaining that connection with us. And the thankful patron comments, I'll draw your attention to one that we all found to be the most probably resonant. Thank God you are doing this. I'm going batty. And I think that summed it up for many of us.
Hello. Thank you, Andy. So I just wanted to highlight a few things that actually did happen in fiscal year 2020, even with that pandemic closure the last few months of the fiscal year. We still had over 180,000 visitors and circulated over 214,000 items, and had about 25,000 attendees at our nearly 1,200 programs for all ages. Our study rooms were used over 5,300 times, and our patrons logged on to over or nearly 89,000 wireless sessions, in addition to the 500 or so uses of the public computers. We're very fortunate to serve an engaged community and to be a busy, well-used, and well-loved library. And we serve Ridgefielders from the very youngest to the oldest, and we do our best to meet each person's individual needs, whether it be recreational reading or early literacy for their children, technology programs for all ages. We've got a little bit of a word cloud here with some of the key programs that are very big in what we do, helping people helping people navigate the process for getting a vaccine appointment. To our staff, every question is important. And some of the key services that we've been focused on that we see as real needs coming out of the pandemic are increased support for early literacy, job search help, mental health support. You'll see a lot of offerings in these areas. And again, this slide is just showing some of the big things that we really focus on a programming side, our STEAM efforts of book groups, the wonderful art talks, looking forward to getting back to the folk concerts in person, and our story times, health and wellness, work with the Compassionate Ridgefield group, and business, economic development, supporting entrepreneurs and small business folks.
Our website at ridgefieldlibrary.org is your portal to the virtual Ridgefield Library. That's where you can access one of our myriad databases, our downloadable books, music, and videos, register for our programs, view online staff-created instructional and educational programs, and much more. Please explore our offerings. You can get individualized assistance either through phone or a video chat or a live chat. We've got all kinds of services. One of the key ways we meet community needs is through outreach and partnerships. Each year we collaborate with some 80 local and regional organizations to bring important issues and enrichment to the programs and resources we offer. Some of the important topic areas include early literacy, parenting, mental health, economic development, the environment, civic engagement, and lifelong learning. We are grateful for the longstanding, robust collaboration with the League of Women Voters of Ridgefield. I'm sure you're very well aware of all of these, but just some of the events that we co-sponsor with the League include annual Meet the Candidates during each election season, annual National Voter Registration Day, annual Meet Your Legislators Town Hall. For the past number of years, we've developed a very strong collaboration with the First Principles Group, which also includes Keeler Tavern Museum and History Center, the Ridgefield Historical Society, and the Drumhill chapter of the DAR. This partnership group has brought deep dive programming and events looking into the founding principles of the United States. Last year, you may have seen or participated in one of our events celebrating the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment. We are developing more collaborative programming under this umbrella of First Principles, and we are thrilled to continue to work on this with the League. And an upcoming program that Marilyn mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, on May 27th, Voting Rights in America, Ensuring Fair and Full Voting with All, with Myrna Perez, Director of the Brennan Center's Voting Rights and Elections Program. And for more information about the League events and activities, about becoming a member of the League, you can visit the League's website, rlwv.org, or follow the League on Facebook.
Sorry, unmute. I want to just spend a few moments talking about the library's strategic plan, and it's worth going through the steps of it. The library's vision is an aspirational vision, and that is to be the model for a vibrant and vital 21st century community library. Our mission is that we anticipate and meet the evolving needs of our community. The Ridgefield Library is an essential partner and the place where people go to discover, question, learn, and connect. The values that we work by, we're guided by these principles, that to be a trusted community leader and a partner woven into the fabric of Ridgefield, to be an accessible and an inclusive resource for all, and to respect and value one another in a safe and welcoming environment. So we use those values as we are putting in place the mission and aspiring to meet that vision. And the current objectives that were set at the time of the establishment of this strategic plan were to engage the community in meaningful and innovative ways, to cultivate a highly motivated and professional staff, and to ensure the financial and operational sustainability of the library. So just a little bit about the plan. It was last done and updated in 2017. It was done following a process that was laid out in a report, which was the outcome of a multi-year study of public libraries in the 21st century, which was done by the Aspen Institute and which was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The overarching thrust of the study was that successful libraries are aligned with their community's goals, which of course makes perfect sense, as serving our community is the reason that we're here. We met with community leaders serving different populations and age groups in town. And we also relied on the results of a community survey that was done mid to late 2016. The question that was really asked in all of these conversations was not what should the library be doing, but rather what are the challenges that are facing the community? And in that way, it helps the library to align our goals with helping the community meet the challenges that it might be facing. From that work came the strategic planning framework, which we just went through on the previous slide, which is guiding the work at the Ridgefield Library. And it helps us to stay focused on our community's needs. From 2018 through the present, we established working groups that were formed around each of those objectives, and there are sub goals underneath to identify and implement priority action items. For example, underneath the engage the community, we have goals around our collections, around technology, around outreach, programs, communications. So the working groups are implementing actions underneath all of that. And currently, and here we are now in 2021, there is a committee of board and staff members reviewing the framework of the 2017 strategic plan, and also laying the groundwork for the process going forward, making sure that we are continually in tune with those community needs and being ready to meet them, having the resources and the staffing model and everything else that would be necessary for us to continue to serve Ridgefield in the best way that we can. So you'll be hearing more about that, no doubt. At this point, I do another thank you, and I'm very happy to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then we're really happy to open it up to any questions that anyone may have. Invite, I'm not sure if Marilyn is still on the call, or Michelle, if they'd like to come back on from the league.
I'm here.
Okay.
Michelle's here.
Excellent.
And I'm here.
Excellent.
And then I guess, should folks use the Q&A function or the chat function, or raise their hand if they have a question?
I think either one, actually, if they could, if anyone does have any questions, if you type it into the chat or the Q&A, either one would be fine. We'll be able to see that.
Well, your presentation was very comprehensive, so maybe you answered all the questions.
One thing that we didn't put in the presentation, which was, we were kind of wrapping it up last week, and I'll just spend a couple minutes speaking to, because it might be top of mind for a lot of folks, are what is the next steps, especially with the governor making an announcement yesterday of beginning to ease some pandemic restrictions. And we have actually, the library has been actively planning for those next steps. It does take, we need a few weeks of lead time for sure to change staffing models, and we set our schedule at least a month in advance, but we have been planning for increasing hours, increasing some in-building services, and we will look very closely at what the governor's recommendations will be. The press conference yesterday gave kind of really broad sweeping guidelines. On the governor's website itself, there's a little more detail, which includes that there will be some guidance for the individual sectors. So we will absolutely look forward to reading those carefully. I'm in regular contact with the library directors in our area and across the state, and in contact with town hall and with the state. So to just make sure that, again, the library is such a critical part of our community. We need to be a safe place. We need to be a place where the staff can work safely, but that we're continuing to meet the needs and never really stop what we're doing. Oh, thank you. There's a really nice comment in the Q&A thanking us and saying the library is such a vital part of the community. Thank you for really being available during the pandemic. You saved many of minds.
Brenda, there's also a note from Chris Nolan asking when we're going to be seeking our next round of library board recruitment.
Oh, yeah, actually, we had advertised library board members. Was that the question, Michelle?
Yes, that's the question, is
okay.
From time to time you reach out to the community to seek new library board members. How is that going this year?
Yeah, so we had put the call out in March. You may have seen it in the press or on our Facebook and our Connect with Us, and we did receive interested parties. It was very interesting. I think everything is a learning experience, a little bit light this year, and I feel that even as we're doing the strategic planning work as well, folks are coming out of the pandemic, and I think that people are experiencing a lot of life changes and still some uncertainty. So yes, we have some strong candidates for new board members, but not as many as maybe we had thought might come. And I think that could be a piece of it. I think that everyone is still figuring out what the next step is in terms of what life is going to look like post-pandemic. And that will be a big consideration for us, as I was talking about the strategic plan, is, how will we come out of that? We did mention that we had identified some key need areas, and I do, Andy and I both, and our other staff members are engaged with the town and various committees serving different populations in town, and certainly that need around mental health, the needs around job searching, the challenge for families, for students with their learning being interrupted. Those are key areas where the library can play a role to support the community and the organizations that are doing work in those areas. And I think that, there's still things that we don't know yet, that as we come through this, more needs will be identified.
So I have a question, Brenda, and
Yes.
forgive me if you addressed this and I missed it earlier. We've been talking a lot about the way that the library serves the community, but one of the important ways the community serves the library is through our gala,
Yes.
right? So, which is going to be a virtual gala this year, so somewhat more accessible for some folks.
Yes.
Did you talk a little bit about that and when it is and the awardees?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you, Michelle. I'll go ahead and put a link for the information on the webpage about the gala. It was decided, again, this was, you need to make decisions in advance, but for the safety of everyone, it was decided to do a virtual gala. It is scheduled for May 22nd, 2021. We are honoring Jay and Eileen Walker, who've been longtime supporters of the library. Eileen was a library board member and is so involved with RV&A Health, among many other things that they both do. Every year at our gala, we give the Hope H. Swenson Visionary Award. And so those are our honorees, and they've just been, they couldn't be more graceful and helpful as we've had to postpone the pandemic. Last year, we did not hold it. But it's going to be a really outstanding program. We have partnerships with the Ridgefield Symphony Orchestra. They'll be performing. The Ridgefield High School Jazz Combo will be performing. And Jay Walker, for those of you who don't know, has an absolutely outstanding personal library. And he's doing an exclusive tour of that, which has been filmed. So it's going to be fun. Dinner catered by Sarah Bousseau, and wine from Ancona's. So I would encourage anyone who's interested, that there's the link there. And thank you, Michelle. That is our major event fundraiser of the year to help us get that to that 30% goal. Thank you, Linda. A lovely comment in the chat from Linda Hanley. It's, as Andy had said, it's a real, the staff, and we're so fortunate with our exceptional staff at the Ridgefield Library, that people work at the library because we have a passion for that public service. And it was very, the emotional toll of having to say, okay, we need to, close our physical plant back in March was really a large one. But I think being able to make the shift and feel like we were still making a difference and still being able to reach out to people, that really helped us as much as I think it helped the people that we were actually connecting with. And thank you, Lisa, for a really lovely comment that this was helpful. And I encourage you, when Andy mentioned the website, the incredible robust offering of databases, our YouTube channel, the staff have been creating incredible content. But we also there's a great form that I think it's on every page of the website where you can just send a comment. Andy actually gets all of those, right? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. So please, lots of ways to reach out to let us know what you'd like to see us doing.
Absolutely. There's as Brenda said, on the website, there's a contact us form. There are separate forms to suggest purchasing an item on the different pages for books or for audiobooks or other resources. You can suggest a specific item you'd like us to consider for purchase. Again, we instituted a few months ago a live chat service that's from our homepage. It goes real-time access to interactive discussion with a librarian. You can get your answers in real time, or you can set up a separate one-on-one Zoom session for a little bit more intensive help. There are a lot of ways to connect with us, but that contact us, yeah, I get those multiple times per day. So,
so let us know if there's a need out there that that needs needs some attention or light shined on it. One of the other thing that's just I'll mention just briefly is that, Andy had mentioned that lessons learned from the pandemic and recognizing, immediately that we were reaching some folks who maybe aren't able to get to the library. It could be mobility issues. It could be the young child upstairs asleep. And we, are now actively researching the ways to make sure that as we go forward, we don't lose that. What will our programming look like as we move back towards in-person or hybrid or a combination, or depending upon the type of program, what would the needs be, and how can we continue serving everyone? Because that was a real, as I'd said, that was a real silver lining and an important one. So yeah, I think we will keep our eye on that. Yes.
It's Marilyn, and
Marilyn.
as anticipated, the service did indeed go out as we were at the top of the hill in Ridgefield. But I just wanted to thank you all again. As a partner to the library, I don't think people understand the importance of partners and the community. The library does an extraordinary job of reaching out to so many different organizations, and the League has benefited tremendously from that. And the civic engagement that is so important to the library and the League makes a wonderful partnership. And I just want to, again, thank you all for being the kind of organization that this community really counts on. And especially during the pandemic, it's been extraordinary the work you all have done, and the willingness to open your arms and your hearts and your minds to all different kinds of presentations, entertainment, and education. It's really been extraordinary. And I think everyone in the community knows that and is most appreciative for everyone in the library. The volunteers, in addition to those to the staff, have been just unique in every way. So thank you again for participating in Get to Know Your Town meeting. And I hope that everyone will remember, we are recording this. And so if your friends didn't have a chance to see it, or your partner didn't get a chance to see it, we'll all let you know when this program will be available for viewing. So thank you again, Brenda. And for anybody else has any questions, go to it.
Well, yes. And I'm putting both my and Andy's email in the chat as well. So we're both always available. And by email or phone or or live chat or whatever the case may be. And I really, I thank everyone for who attended and spent the time. I had said to Marilyn and Michelle this morning, I'm like, does anyone want to listen to us talk for that long? But I thank you so much and for your lovely comments. I can't tell you how much that means to us. It's a huge boost. And please, questions, comments, keep them coming, good and bad. It's really, I always say to people, sometimes if someone has something not positive to say to me, they'll apologize. And I'm like, please don't apologize, because it's really important that we hear everything. And so I'm always grateful for that too. So Thank you so much. And I thank the league again. As Marilyn said, it's just been a wonderful collaboration. And I feel particularly fortunate. I know I speak for Andy, that we work in a town like Ridgefield that has strong and engaged organizations, people who give of their time and their talent. And we just have so many opportunities to work together with just amazing people. So we're grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you
So much. Okay, I don't know if there's any other questions. Otherwise, we'll let you all get off your screens for a little bit.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.